Hey, what's up, world? I'm gonna keep this one. I'm gonna try to keep this one short. But, this one might go on for a while. This is the fifth time I've tried to record this fucking thing, so hopefully I get it right this time. Sorry about the sunglasses. There's a window right in front of me, and it's bright as fuck. So I don't want to be sitting here looking, with my eyes closed and shit. So something that keeps coming up all the time. I'm very passionate about the sport of MMA. Anyone who knows me personally knows that MMA is like a religion in my house. Okay. Um, I would love to be able to step to an octagon and fight someone. No anger involved, no hate involved, just to experience it once. I would love it. Okay. I studied Jeet Kune Do for most of my life. I am not a professional mixed martial arts fighter. I have some submission skills. I have some stand-up skills. And, I feel for the average fan, I'm well-rounded. Okay, and that doesn't include the gut I got hanging right here. Okay, I got into shape this year, and it also happened to be round. So I'm going back to the gym as soon as I can. You bet. But I love the sport of mixed martial arts so much that like I said, I would just once just to be able to go from fan to fighter just once, I would do it. Regardless of the risk. I love the sport that much. Um, but I'm always hearing about how people think that this sport is violent. How can you watch that shit? It's so fucking violent. It's just two guys in there just beating the fucking piss out of each other. It's violence. It's senseless. Um, and I can't look at it that way. I look at it and I see a sport. I see a competition. I see a controlled situation. Okay, and I've tried to argue this with some people who are a little uneducated about the sport. Um, some people who some of my good friends who are very passionate about the sport, I think, agree with me on what I have to say. Is you've got two guys that train. They train harder than anybody I've ever heard of fucking works to earn a paycheck. Okay, the stuff these guys fucking do in the gym on a day-to-day basis. Their families sacrifice. You know, during the training. It's a whole ordeal. Their whole lives, everybody they know is involved in this process because it's a 24/7 thing. Okay, this isn't get up and maybe work a 12-hour day, okay, and go do some overtime 5 6 days a week or 5 days a week, or like me, I basically work 40 hours a week. I get overtime twice a year if that. So and it's cool. I got a set schedule. I'm Monday to Friday, same schedule all the time. It's awesome. Um, but MMA fighters, when they're training, it's constant. It's 24 hours a day. They're sleep, they're eating, they're training, they're going different places. Plus, and when you're fighting for titles, and you're fighting, in the UFC, and even if you're just fighting in the lower leagues, just trying to make a name for yourself. These guys are passionate at all levels of the sport. Okay, and they're not being forced to fight. Okay, these people do this because they love it. It's a sport, it's a competition, and they're willing to put their bodies on the line for it. Okay, I look at professional wrestling, and to me, that's violent. Okay, because they're trying to portray a very violent situation. You try to portray violent, it comes across as violent in a sense. Um, the UFC, fighting in general is always going to come across as violent. Me personally, I think when I see guys fighting on the street, whether it be outside a bar or something like that, see that to me is violence. And to me, nobody wins a street fight. And if you get out of a street fight uninjured, or you walk away with a smile on your face, you're lucky. Okay, because I've seen some people go away in ambulances just fucked right up. Okay, and I've been very lucky in my life that I've never come across the wrong person and had my head twisted around. Okay, um, and I used to be an idiot out there trying to pick fights and being a fucking heathead and shit like that. And those days are done. That's my violent days are done. But MMA is a sport. It's a passion. Okay, um, and it's a competition. So like back to it's a controlled situation. You get two fighters who are high ranked fighters. You take GSP and Jake Shields, for instance. Those two can go in there and beat the crap out of each other, and I don't think there's anything violent about that. All right, GSP is a fucking tactician. All right, you know, he's a fucking tactical warrior. He will pick apart anyone he fights. Okay, he destroyed Josh Koscheck. He didn't finish him. Okay, but he embarrassed him in a non-violent way. He basically, jabbed him to death. All right. It wasn't this violent, horrible bloodbath. It wasn't two people just violently stomping on each other until someone just says, "I'm too tired to beat you," and you're not moving anyways, and it's been fucking minutes, and you might be dead. Okay. It's not like that. Okay, these two guys know what they're getting into. They have studied their opponent as well as they can. They know their opponent. This isn't just some random dude meets some other random dude. They get pissed off at each other in public and they fucking go at it. Okay, like a bunch of fucking heatheads. I've been there, done that. It's fucking stupid. All right, nobody wins that fight. So the fighters, they know what they're getting into because they love it. They know, and there's a very good chance to make a lot of money. If they become very good at it, and if Dana White decides to, get off his cheap ass and start paying these guys what they're worth in the UFC, you know, this isn't, the Bush leagues or anything like that. All right, so I don't see the violence with the two guys wanting to fight each other. They're not just a bunch of fucking. They're not like the average Joe off the fucking street. Okay. Second of all, you got a referee in there, and he is basically God in that ring. All right. He controls that whole situation. All right. The fighters are going to go at it. They're going to do what they do, and that's cool. Let them do their thing. That's what they're trained to do. But once it's done, if the referee is a good referee, he calls the fight the way he's supposed to. He's not one of these fucking guys that, you know, screws up. The referees at the top level are usually pretty good. And even if it goes a little long, let's just face it. When Shane Carwin and Brock Lesnar fought, I thought that fight was over. And that ref, yeah, I think the ref did a perfect job. Brock was still good to go. He got up. He ended up winning the fucking fight by submission. Who saw that coming? Holy shit. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything violent about a submission victory. You know, choke some guy out, that is, that's tactical. You train for years to be able to put yourself in a position with another human being to get your arm around that neck and choke him the fuck out. Okay, that's a beautiful thing. A guillotine, a rear naked choke, that's an awesome thing. Um, you knock a guy out. If you're a superior striker and you're able to showcase your ability to be a superior striker, there's nothing violent about that whatsoever. Um, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's I really appreciate. Um, a show of skill in a mixed martial arts match. I even appreciate a slow fight. You get two guys that are grappling and they're basically just canceling each other out. Okay, it's a boring fight. There's not a lot of punches and that. But what you a lot of people don't appreciate is the amount of skill it takes for two guys at the top of their game to basically cancel each other out. They have done their homework to a T. You see a boring fight where two guys are basically just spinning around on the fucking cage along the fencing there, or they're on the ground and they're basically just rolling around, but they're not, one guy's on top of one guy, he gets up, okay, they get against the cage, so he takes the other guy down, they roll around or whatever. If they basically cancel each other out, it's a boring fight, but those fighters did their fucking homework, okay? Every fighter I bet walks in there, I want to finish this fight. I either want to go in there and have a fucking 3 round or a 5 round war or a fucking slugfest or whatnot, but two guys cancel each other out. They've done their homework. There's nothing violent about that. Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida. That was a fucking sick slugfest. Okay, it was bloody. Um, it was beautiful. It was awesome. Those guys beat the shit out of each other. I personally had Clay Guida winning that fight, just on the fact I think he won it with his chin. So respect to Kenny Florian because he probably punches harder than Diego Sanchez can kick. But I had Clay Guida winning that fight by the narrowest of fucking margins. Like so, and let's face it, I could watch the fight again tomorrow and change my fucking mind. All right, but I didn't think that was violent. There was beautiful striking, there was wrestling, there was grappling, there was submission attempts. The flexibility that those guys showed in their skills, to go 3 rounds like that to a split decision, like holy fuck, that was such a sick fight. Um, Nothing violent about that whatsoever, in my personal opinion. It was messy, it was bloody, but it was also very technical, and it was a showcase of skill in all levels of the game. It was a true mixed martial arts fight. These two went back and forth, standing, punching, kicking on the ground, grappling submissions, defensive positions, all the shit was showcased. It was a beautiful thing, and I thought there was nothing violent about a fight like that. Okay? They're in a cage. They're in a cage. They're not in the cage to stop the guys from running away from each other. They're in the cage to stop people from coming in and getting interactive, okay? Jason Mayhem Miller, fucking Jake Shields, the Diaz brothers. That's what happens when that cage gets invaded. Okay, when you let people. So there's security now. This to stop that kind of shit. Okay, um, you know, uh, first and foremost, that the Diaz brothers are in the fucking cage. Anyone has got to be fucking stupid to walk in there and just start getting in the face of someone they know. Okay, I'm sorry, it's the Diaz brothers. a fight breaks out in the country, you know, they probably want to jump into it. You know, that's awesome. I love the Diaz brothers. That's sick. Sorry though, but Roy McDonald is going to win his fight at coming up. So sorry about that, Diaz, but it's going to happen just because, you know, I'm a Kelowna boy. It's the way it works. Go Rory McDonald, fucking rights. But you know, that was a dumb, violent incident. You know, this is the Strikeforce brawl. You know, I don't think you're going to see too much that shit go down in the UFC. You know, like look at fucking when Paul Daly, you know, sucker punched Josh Koscheck. You know, Pete Rosenthal fucking just grabbed him. You know, his hand was bigger than fucking his whole head. And he was like, "Are you kidding me? You're a professional. What the fuck?" Okay. You got refs that are willing to put their bodies on the line, you know, and I respect that. You know, there's a lot of refs that, you know, I'm hard on you refs too. You guys fuck up, I'll be the first person on the internet going, "Fuck you guys, you suck." You know, I'm not saying I could do a better job, but for what I pay to watch these shows every year, I would like to see you guys just be a little sharper, you know, 100% of the time if you can. You don't have to be perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. But be a little sharper. But I do appreciate the fact that you guys put your fucking bodies on the line every time you step in that octagon as well. You know, give the refs props because they put their fucking bodies on the line. Okay, big time. So it's a controlled environment, you know. So I don't see it as violent. I almost get offended when people call it a violent sport. Violence in this sport, you know, usually it comes in the fucking the minor leagues where you've got idiots that don't know what they're doing. They're just there because they want to be part of the sport. Oh yeah, okay, you know, my buddy runs this cheese dick for promotion. Oh, I'm going to be a ref, you know, and I just want to see someone get their fucking ass kicked because I'm going to drink some beer and I got the best seat in the house, you know? Fuck, that shit happens and it's scary, and I feel sorry for the fighters that get exposed to that kind of stuff, you know? Hopefully, you know, this sport is going to start growing faster where, you know, the law gets involved and starts regulating this sport as well because, you know, it has to be humane, you know, but we're a long way. That, you know, it still happens in boxing and it's fighting, okay? Let's face it. That's going to happen. So I just hope with mixed martial arts, fighters are better able to educate themselves to avoid, you know, the really good fighters that dedicate themselves and love the sport can avoid putting themselves in that kind of situation. And, you know, there's a way to climb up in this sport and there's a way not to, you know. Look at John Bones Jones, okay? How long has he been fighting? He's a fucking UFC champ. Give me a break, okay? So if you're fucking good, there's ways to get around that shit. Don't go the violent route and shit. So let me hear what the world has to say. Sorry about the long video. I know I started out by saying I'm going to try and keep it short. I fucked that one right up. Okay, epic fail there. Okay, but let's see what the world has to say. Please watch the whole video. And if you did, thank you for watching. No, obviously, if you're here, you did. Just hope you didn't fast forward. But if you did watch the whole video, thank you. I want to hear some comments on this, please. All right, and peace.